Australia's Science Minister wants the debate over climate change to end, declaring the discussion a distraction from the bushfire crisis. The federal government is hoping to win the support of the states for its proposed Royal Commission, suggesting its review now won't seek to scrutinise their operational response.
Australia's bushfire smoke still showing no sign of relenting, and neither is the climate change debate.
You can smell it, you can feel it, you can see it.
But amid Labor's criticism the government is ignoring the science, its own Science Minister says the time for debate is now over.
Every second that we spend discussing whether or not climate change is real is a second that we don't spend talking about and putting in place the strategies to mitigate.
A message perhaps to colleagues considered climate sceptics.
So you're not a climate sceptic, you're a climate denier.
Hey, hang on a minute. Every member of Parliament who comes here has a right to speak their mind. Karen has well set out what the government's policy is.
The government's emissions reduction target remains a 26 to 28% cut by 2030.
The target is set and the target is sensible.
Labor took a 45% target to the federal election and it proved problematic in Queensland's coal country seats.
When can people know, Mr Shorten, the cost of the economy? You didn't answer the question.
You know what, John?
Why can't you answer the question, Mr Shorten?
But in an attempt to seize on sentiment surrounding bushfires, Mr Shorten, side by side with his successor, now has a fresh take on the cost of climate change action.
People don't stop me and say, what is the cost of acting on climate change? People now, right across Australia, say, what is the cost of not acting on climate change?
His new leader, though, yet to embrace the 45% target.
Labor has had a strong policy on climate change we've taken to every election. At times, some might argue that we've suffered because of it. But it's the right thing to do.
Mr Morrison, meanwhile, maintaining his proposed bushfire Royal Commission is also the right thing to do.
I would want to have a level of comfort, and I think all Australians do, that across the country we can have confidence about our level of resilience.
On Sunday, the Prime Minister suggested the state's operational response would be examined.
I think Australians have a very reasonable expectation that any Commission of Inquiry, Royal Commission, would need to cover the full gambit of issues.
But after Victoria and New South Wales trumped the federal government and initiated their own inquiry, Mr Morrison is now suggesting the scope of his review isn't as expansive as first floated.
That's a matter for the states. On the operational, should the truck have gone down this street or the other one, or at what time, and that sort of issue, that's not the basis of it.
Well, I think it's important for each state to undertake their own review. If the national government came to us and said, this is what we want to do, we'd be very open to that.
A sure sign Australians can expect several reviews into the deadly bushfire season. David Shiraz, Sky News, Canberra.